And welcome back to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. President Trump is halting plans to send federal agents to San Francisco this week. The president says he's giving San Francisco a chance to turn things around themselves. This came at Mayor Daniel Lurie's request. Can we expect significant change, however? Joining us now to assess is Democratic strategist Lee Neves and Republican strategist and president of Clink Campaigns, Matt Clink. Great to have you both back with us. So President Trump appears to be giving the city of San Francisco a crack at getting crime under control at the municipal level, while saying that federal agents could get it done faster. Matt, why did Trump honor Mayor Lurie's request, and do you think Mayor Lurie will make significant changes in the great city of San Francisco?
Well, two observations here. One, it's the master of the obvious statement of the day is the mayor and Donald Trump actually spoke, and human one-on-one communication proved to be a decisive factor in the decision that was made, rather than the political clause coming out and each side cornering up. They actually discussed the situation. And the second point here is, look, Daniel Lurie is a newly elected mayor. He is no London breed. He came into office with a different perspective. Make no doubt about it. He is a Democrat because a Republican couldn't even get elected dog catcher in San Francisco. But Daniel Lurie came in and he promised to do things differently in the city. And I think that Trump wants to give him the space to do it. So I think the combination of a new mayor with a new agenda and just civil communication between two elected leaders, it yielded a good result for the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, Lee, Matt makes an excellent point. The open line of communication seems to have paid off, at least for now here. Could we see other cities follow suit and, attempting to address crime on their own proactively?
I think what you see here is something that you've seen from the Trump administration from when they first got office, which is basically act first and then find out the facts and ask questions later. It would have been very clear from the get-go. President Trump could have picked up the phone as soon as Mark Beanoff opened his mouth and spoke out of his lane and said, "Hey, Mayor, what's going on in San Francisco?" Mayor then could have told him that, "Hey, crime is going down. The city feels much safer. I'm a San Francisco Giants season ticket holder. I have zero problems walking from my BART station to the Oracle Park where the Giants play." His staff could have very easily said, because it's been in the news, it's been a story this entire year, San Francisco is getting safer. Crime is going down. People are feeling safer. Visitors are feeling safer. But instead, the administration, like they did with Doge, where they fired a bunch of people, had to come back and hire them back later when they were like, oops, we shouldn't have done that. Administration found out after they spoke first that maybe what they thought wasn't really.
Well, I have to say, it's a beautiful city. Sadly, I was robbed in broad daylight, granted a decade ago, at Twin Peaks, of all places. So really hope that it is on the upswing, for sure. I do want to switch topics a bit here. We don't really get into sports too much, but how can we avoid it today, especially sports and gambling? 3 NBA stars, including Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups, have been charged in a major federal gambling bust. Lee, does this case change the way people view the integrity of not just sports betting, but sports in general?
I think it does, and I think it's a really black mark for the NBA. And this is not the first time this has happened in the NBA. If you guys will recall, last year there was a player for I believe it was the Toronto Raptors, who has been suspended for life for the same thing, insider trading. I believe in this case for Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, he was busted for an illegal poker ring for Mr. Rozier, who played for the Miami Heat. He was busted for insider trading. They were giving bettors information on LeBron James's injury status for Laker games and whatnot. And controversy like this is not new to the NBA. I'm dating myself, but late 70s, early 80s, the NBA had a major cocaine problem. And that was a stain on the NBA and really put it on the precipice of really folding before Bird and Magic came along, and then Jordan, and then, the league that we know as is today. But the NBA really does need to take swift action, especially since you will notice that there aren't these problems in the NFL. There aren't these problems in Major League Baseball. There aren't these problems in Major League or international soccer. I actually, believe it or not, own a minor league women's soccer team. And I know that the line on my team's games aren't exactly heating up things in Vegas, but it's not something that you see in my sport or my team. And it would be devastating if that did happen. And if it did, I would take swift action to make sure that those who are doing it were punished accordingly.
Matt, there are reports, federal officials saying that this could just be the tip of the iceberg, could just be getting started in uncovering what could be an even bigger ring of gambling. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, tragically, this is a case of where there's smoke, there's fire. I just was looking up some quick stats that, between now and January, Americans bet almost $100 billion on sports. And, look, a lot of people love to bet on sports through the DraftKings app and other apps like, and FanDuel, et cetera. We could go on and name a lot of them. What we are seeing, unfortunately, is that bettors get a little nibble of legal gambling and it quickly transitions into illegal gambling. And I think that's always been the worry about gambling in sports. I mean, look, it goes back as far as, the famous Black Sox scandal in the early 20th century. They go part and parcel. The sad part is that, Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, each of these gentlemen, they made over $100 million in the NBA. It's not like they it's not like they should need the money. So it's tragic. And I think you're right. Both of you are saying that everybody is now going to look at games and say, okay, what's really going on? And are the players playing straight up? I think most of them are, but it only takes one bad apple to spoil the whole barrel here. So it breaks my heart from one who is just a huge sports lover.
Indeed. Yeah, certainly a major stain. It's going to take a lot of time to repair that, to restore trust as people watch their favorite teams play. Lastly, I do want to pivot to the White House again. The president's new initiative to build a White House ballroom on the East Wing. Lee, the East Wing was built as a small guest entrance annex back in 1902, then expanded in 1942 to 2 stories, sort of being presented by the mainstream media like it was part of the original structure. Not that, take anything away from that. The main White House is, in comparison, that I just mentioned, was completed in 1800. There have been various renovations by various presidents. Why is this getting so much attention?
Well, I think it's getting attention twofold. And you are correct. Ever since Andrew Jackson wheeled his big block of cheese into the White House, there have been renovations by various presidents on both sides of the aisle. I think it's getting it twofold. A, the fact that the president is making such a big deal out of it, and the fact that it's going to be the biggest and the largest and the gildedest ballroom of all time. Second, it's kind of a bad look to be talking about a $200 million ballroom when you're in a government shutdown and government employees are being furloughed and SNAP benefits are about to end for millions of poor families across the country. And here you are talking about a ballroom with, gold-plated faucets, for all I know. I don't know if there are actually any in there, but that's the way he's talking about it. So it really is, from a PR perception point of view, kind of read the room. You're in a government shutdown. People are suffering. Don't talk about your big ballroom and show that it's being renovated and all that and think it's the greatest thing on the planet.
Now, Matt, for this White House renovation, President Trump is aiming for a neoclassical style to match the rest of the building. You can see, if you watch his press avails from the Oval Office, some of the touches that he's put on there with class and taste. Is the concern about history and preservation sincere, especially when just a few years ago we saw statues being torn down, including that of Abraham Lincoln in my beloved Boston?
Look, the reason why this is so strongly opposed is because Donald Trump is doing it, and anything that Donald Trump does, the Democrats are going to say orange man bad. I'll go back to as far back as Thomas Jefferson. He served 2 terms from 1801 to 1809. He built a colonnade on the White House at that time, and a Federalist newspaper, which was the opposition party, slammed it, saying it reflected Jefferson's aristocratic tendencies. So it's just it's stupid squabbling over partisanship. This is just a big, high profile. I think that that Donald Trump bragging about building something. Donald Trump's been bragging about building for 40 years on the East Coast. So it's not a big deal for him. It's a big deal in Washington, where they don't embrace change very easily. And especially it's a big deal for Democrats because they don't control anything. So it's, again, much to do about nothing. When it's built, both Republican and Democratic presidents will be able to take advantage of it. And I don't think faucets, no, but gold-plated toilets for sure.
Lee Neves, Matt Klink, really appreciate you both.